Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Fireworks MTG, and today we're going to be playing some Jund for you. We're going to be running through a league in replay format, and our big highlight today, we just got our hands on 4 copies of Ragavan Nimble Pilfer, and let me just say right now, this card is busted. Is it ban-worthy? I don't know. I don't think so, but it's certainly very powerful. I would go as far as to say this is the most powerful card in our deck. I've seen some decks playing Ignoble Hierarch over Ragavan. I'm not sure if that's just because people are having trouble getting access to Ragavan, but I'm pretty adamant that this card's just way more powerful. Every turn of the game that goes by, Ignoble Hierarch gets a little bit worse. It's awesome turn 1, for sure. But Ragavan is just great on every turn of the game. Despite the fact that it's legendary, we're going to run 4 copies. I've heard some criticism about it, mainly because it has 1 toughness, but honestly, it's just so strong. It's kind of this kill on sight kind of card, and unless our opponent's playing Lava Dart or Renin 6, trading 1 for 1 is pretty fine in most cases. That's what we wanted to do anyway, so I think that Jund is a deck that can definitely get away with playing Ragavan. Outside of that, we've also got Dothy Void Walker as our other inclusion from Modern Horizons 2, and 1 copy of Grist the Hunger Tide, which I was a little skeptical of, but this card's kind of impressed me overall. I think it's pretty good. It's usually a 2 for 1. You can go with or without it, I'd say. Outside of that, pretty stock list. We're down to 22 lands. Lots of artifact hate. I'm seeing a lot of people play Force of Vigor, which I understand. I think it's actually very well positioned right now. But I don't think we're playing enough green spells to accommodate it. I think we'll often get hands where we just can't cast it for free, and 4 mana is a lot to pay for it otherwise, so I've decided to go with Ancient Grudge. I think if you're on Ignoble Hierarch and you're cool with Assassin's Trophy, which I'm not, I'm playing Terminate, then I could see it for sure being a little bit better, but in this particular list, we've decided to not run Force of Vigor. I just wanted to talk about that card for a second because I think it is pretty well positioned, but we're going to play a couple of Ancient Grudges with Shatterstorm and 1 copy of Collector Oof. Maybe it's proper to play 2 copies of Collector Oof, but sometimes I want to bring in my Spell Bomb and still have access to some artifact hate, and Oof and Spell Bomb are kind of a nombo, so I've decided to split in Ancient Grudge's favor. We've also got a Kroxa, the second Terminate, some Plague Engineers, Collective Vitality. Pretty standard stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, here we are. Game 1, match 1 on the draw against Mental Misstep. And you can see here we have a pretty solid hand. We've got Thoughtseize into Ren or Tarmogoyf, and then Grist on turn 3. Looks wonderful. We'll definitely keep. So does our opponent. And they're going to lead on a Valakut Stoneforge? Yes, Valakut Stoneforge, the modal land. We're going to lead on a Thoughtseize, and let's see what we can see. Okay, so our opponent has Supreme Verdict, Snapcaster Mage, Expressive Iteration, and Chalice of the Void. So, Supreme Verdict, they definitely get to keep. Between Chalice, Expressive Iteration, and Snapcaster Mage, there's a pretty good argument for any one of them. I do decide to let them keep the Chalice, and I'm really torn between the Expressive Iteration and Snapcaster Mage. I just want to play for the long game here. I want to resolve my Ren on 2 and just kind of grind value. I think that we are very capable of doing that against Jeskai Control. Ultimately, I decide to go with the Expressive Iteration, as the Snapcaster Mage is a couple turns away from actually being able to do anything, and Ren 6 can clean it up pretty nicely, should be at a reasonable amount of loyalty by the time it comes down. They play Untapped Hollowed Fountain and cast that Chalice, pass back to us. Here I believe we just slam that Ren 6, pick up our land and pass back. And I'm trying to do this off memory, so there may be a couple times where I have to like let it play through and kind of remind myself of what's going on. But anyway, they do shock and land. I could play scared here and try to bait something, but I just go for the high upside of like resolving this grist. Maybe they force of negation at 1-for-1, but I'm actually cool to play that game, trading 1-for-1 and just upticking Ren and passing, but that's not the case. We get to get our grist down, we get to plus it. It's all excellent. Oh, you know what? Pardon me. Actually, force of negation doesn't work. They would have had to draw counterspell or mana leak or something because grist is a creature on the stack. So them shocking in doesn't mean much to me in that regard. They do prismatic end it, which is smart because they can snap prismatic end the Ren 6 second. So here we're going to crack, fetch, pick up, slam the Kroxa first, see if they do anything about it. They do not. So Kroxa is going to eat the Wrath, yes, the Supreme Verdict, and then we just put the Scoif down. Swing for 1, pass back. They go snap, prismatic ending, take out the Ren 6. Not much to talk about there. Pretty obvious play from the opponent. They flooded Strand. Let's get rid of everything. We don't know any other cards. They have 1 card left. Here we swing. Super happy to trade the Insect for the Snapcaster Mage. And here, pretty questionable, but I am fully aware of the Chalice. I Inquisition myself, by the way, just to show them that I did remember the Chalice. And then I Fatal Push, targeting my Goyf against Chalice. And the reason I'm doing these things is because I would like to keep my Goyf at a reasonably healthy size after Kroxa gets down. If I draw K command, odds are I'm going to clean up one of his threats and make him discard or attack his life total anyway. I'm cool with just leaving that Chalice in play. I don't think that my 1-mana spells are really necessary at this point. So here we bring that Kroxa back, trying to keep the Goyf as big as possible, so you can see it's still a 4/5. It would have... yeah, they don't have instant in their yard. Sorry, I may be moving a little bit fast here, but I think what's happening is pretty obvious. Jace is brainstorming. They're trying to dig for some stuff. They don't find it off that expressive iteration, and we get to take game 1, moving on to game 2. All right, guys, and here we are for game 2, match 1 against Mental Misstep, and this is just kind of what's left, what our sideboard looks like post-sideboard. So you see we've cut one of our... we've cut the Terminate, we cut our 2 Fatal Push, and we brought in a Collective Brutality, Ashiok, and a Clothis. So this hand looks kind of slow, kind of meh, but we've got Ren 6, we've got threats, we've got a way to look at the hand, and these games go pretty long. I do decide to keep on the draw. I think that when your hands are functional in these control mirrors, it's a good idea to keep. I've been stuck. I've mulled to 6 and then been forced to mold to 5, and it's just a losing proposition. So at a functional 7 in these slow matchups, I'll generally keep. And sorry, I'm skipping by really quickly. They had Island, Flooded Strand, Expressive Iteration, Prismatic Ending, and Sanctifier Envec. It's unfortunate to leave them with these 2 good cards, but this Sanctifier is just absolutely backbreaking against Jund, so this was an easy take. You pass back. Here they go, Flooded Strand, pass back. So I think we just Brutality here. Yeah, we Brutality, because I want to take that... oh, you know what? Sorry, so... Pardon. I leave them with the ending. I guess there's some debate to taking the ending. This card's really good, the Expressive Iteration, at going late and grinding value. So we do take it, and we're going to try to bait the ending with a Goyf. So the plan is to Play this Raging Reed next turn and Slime the Tarmogoyf. We'll see what we draw and see if that changes. And Thoughtseize Bug. They draw another ending anyway. And yeah, we do draw another Wrenn and 6, so I believe we just slime it here. Oh, no, we do play the Goyf. Pardon again, I'm just doing things by memory. A lot of these things could go either way. So they do Blood Moon us, and we get real lucky here. Boom! Best possible draw. So we swing the Goyf, play the Forest, play a Wrenn and 6, and we're certain that they're gonna ending the Wrenn and 6, but suddenly this Tarmogoyf has become a lot better when the plan is to just kind of race them. They go Murktide Regent, and this is actually pretty funny. If they had endinged this Wrenn and 6 first, they would have been a little bit better off, because we get to ping, and this seems horrendous, but this is a lot of resources we're using, but we go ping, ping, and bolt the Murktide Regent, swing with the Goyf attack, and we're just trying to get this guy nice and dead. This Blood Moon actually doing a lot of work for us. Because we're able to cast our spells for the most part. He does counter this Tarmogoyf, and looks like he's got nothing. So we get to steal this game. Our opponent with that Prismatic Ending rotting in hand, unable to stop our Tarmogoyf from crossing that finish line. And we'll see you in the next match. Alright guys, here we are for Game 1, Match 2. Our opponent has revealed Lurrus of the Dream Den. This hand is pretty clunky. Yep, we do toss it back. This hand seems fine. It can grind a little bit of value. It can answer some threats. I believe we bottom the Pulse, as it is Bolt, K-Command, Terminate can kill most creatures in these Lurrus decks. And immediately I kind of put my opponent on like the Aspiring Spike red-black list. So if they're applying a lot of pressure, Pulse is a little slow. They take Lightning Bolt, pass back, so I imagine that they have some sort of smaller threats that they would like to protect. And Terminate's a little less mana efficient. So they play Urza Saga into Dauthi Voidwalker. So this is not the Spike list. No sir. It's looking like some mono black mid-range deck. Trying to leverage that Urza Saga. So we did make a small misplay. We should have fetched with the Voidwalker on the stack, because now we lose our fetch land. If we draw Wrenn and 6, that kind of sucks. Now we find a Voidwalker of our own. Here we decide to just deal with his Voidwalker before we continue too far on this. Too far into putting stuff on the board. He plays a Confidant. If we peel land, we are in a great spot. We do not. So here's our Voidwalker. We'll pass back. Notably, our opponent also missed a land drop, and now they have to sacrifice their Urza Saga. So they do find another Saga. They play their Dauthi. They're going to serve for 2. Line 1 time. Their bubble is going to go off. We find our land. Find our land we've been begging for. So this is a little interesting, because now we're forced to. I do want to deal with that Bob, as it's just gonna grind a lot of value. It's gonna find them in their 3rd land, and it's gonna. Just seems like the scariest card. They find their 3rd land anyway. They sack. Yeah, so this is why it's awkward, because they get to sack their Dauthi, grab the K command, put the Dauthi back into play, which is like really fucking sweet. They crime us. Not sure about Raven's crime. We decide to discard Croxa. Croxa's not very good with the Dauthi in play anyway. Here there's nothing else to do, just play Grist. We decide to hang on to Overgrown Tomb in case we draw Lily or anything in the future. We just don't really need it. If we draw Bloodbraid Elf off the top, we could always play our land, but they Ravenscry us, which is fine, actually, quite fine. I'm fine with trading a land for a land when they're a little choked on mana. Ragavan, an awesome draw. And we hit a Dothy, which is really sweet. But our opponent's going to get to do some pretty cool stuff with their Dothy. They can do the whole K-Command thing again, which they do go for. Yep. Pretty sweet play. This Rack putting some work against us, so we're just going to get rid of this Dothy. We kind of just can't let them untap and K-Command us again. Put this Goyf into play and pass back. And this game is going to be hella close. They put Lurrus in hand. It's not looking good for us, but we do have the Goyf clock. We draw the Bloodbraid Elf, punishing us for not just playing that land earlier. Inquisition us, pretty good for us. We're just going to cycle here looking for some action. Maybe we should have kept land, but it was our play. We just want to find the last point of damage with Goyf, and we want to cushion ourselves against this Rack, is my exact thought, so we can go down to 3, survive another factory hit, and if we draw any burn spells, we get to just win the game that turn. So in goes a Goyf. We decide, well, we can't play, we decide to not play another card. We could take a hit from Factory and still play another card, but if they play some sort of discard spell, then the Rack kills us. In goes a Goyf. We draw the Wrenn 6, and we get to ping them to death with W6. Super close, super close. Maybe there was a way that we could have... Maybe killing the Dark Confidant over the Dothy with the K-Command wasn't correct, as it let him grind a lot of value. Activating the Dothy, K-Commanding us, and picking the Dothy back up was really sweet, but our raw card quality definitely got us there. I think in general, our cards are just a little bit better. But yeah, sorry, I digress. Let's go to the next game. Alright guys, here we are for Game 2, Match 2, and sideboarding plans. Pretty simple here. He's on Lurrus, so we've decided to cut these Thought Seizes, as Inquisition can hit every card in his deck, and also the 2 damage can be a little bit of a liability, as the Rack and possibly Shrieking Affliction. We haven't seen that, but those decks definitely, these kind of decks definitely play that card. All that incremental damage, these Thought Seizes can definitely be a liability. Liliana, awful in the matchup. Does more work for him than us, I would say, unless we specifically down tick only, but probably not worth it. We bring in our Ancient Grudges. What else do we bring in? We brought in one of our 2 spell bombs. We want to go too heavy on that. And am I missing anything? I don't think so. All right. So anyway, we didn't bring in the Shatter Storm or the Collector if those things are a little overboard, and yeah. Anyway, moving on. This hand looks reasonable on the draw. It's very playable, and one of the biggest things is we want to keep as many cards as we can, because our opponent's just going to try to make us hellbent. So if we mulligan to a pretty good 6 and they Inquisition us, put us to 5 and ruin our hand, it's just kind of bad news bears. So here we go for that turn 1 Ragavan, looking for the sealing of getting that treasure, getting the wheels turning. He goes Funeral Charm into the rack. I don't mind that play. That's a lot. I think it would have been a lot scarier if he went Funeral Charm, kill your Ragavan, and then maybe take one of our spells and just really start working on getting us Hellbent. I'm not sure about this deck without Liliana. Liliana just seems so powerful in a strategy like this. We just take the Grudge, or we just take the rack right away. I want to be able to get full value out of this Grudge and use it 2 times. We see a Voidwalker. And it's nice to get the Grudge in under that Voidwalker for sure. Here we present a big old Goyf. Here inscribes us. We ditch our Pulse, which ends up being like kind of bad, punishing because he just plays the second Voidwalker, which is kind of annoying. Had he sequenced a little differently and revealed that Voidwalker first, I probably would have ditched this Tarmogoyf. Got our nice 2-for-1 in, but here we are. Now we smack. I'd play this Voidwalker. I don't want to expose both of my Tarmogoyfs to the Pulse. I just want him to pitch one of these Voidwalkers. He plays a rack. We attack with the Goyf. We actually decide not to play the Swamp here because we're trying to build up cards in hand to cushion against future racks. Notably, we do have the Grudge to deal with this, but I'm kind of in a race mode here, and would like to avoid these little pings when we're in a position like this. So we dash Ragavan, swing for a big 6, put our opponent to 2, and we find a Bauble, which is really nice. It's going to allow us to cushion against that rack once again. I have not Ancient Grudged it yet because we are going to take 0 off of it. He fires off an Inquisition, taking our Tarmogoyf. Also, Ragavan dashing back is pretty sweet against this deck. He's going to become a Tarmogoyf instead of activating the Pulse, which is super okay with me. And just to be mana efficient, we take out this rack now, save ourselves 1 point of damage. And we find another Grudge, which is pretty alright. Here, can't really attack into his board. I just swing a Goyf, he double blocks, gains 3. So we just pass back hoping. Now this is really curious to me. The first thing that comes to my mind is our opponent's got Dismember, but I just kind of have to call him on this. So I do block with the Goyf. I go with the upside of like eliminating this Lurrus, and it does work out. Opponent Thought seizes us and takes our Ancient Grudge. And that's that. The greedy attack with Lurrus there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this deck, but I would imagine that there may be better off playing Liliana the Veil than trying to lean on this whole Lurrus thing. But yeah, tell me in the comments if I'm missing something. Maybe that's incorrect. And look, hey, view dungeon information. That's new. Neato. All right, moving on. We'll see you in the next game. Alrighty, here we are for match 3, game 1. And it looks like we're going to be on the draw. This hand's functional. It's a little clunky, but we've got points of interaction. We've got Bloodbraid Elf to finish the game, so we keep. Our opponent leads on Monastery Swiftspear. Hits us for 1. Here we crack Fetch Mountain and bolt this thing. Try to preserve our life total as much as possible. The way our build is, we can very much get away with grabbing that basic mountain. Here we're going to Thoughtseize and crack fetches and bolts us in response, which is really scary. We see Marisha's Bauble and Expressive Iteration, and again, I just take that iteration. I think this card's really good against decks like us. Lets them really come back, and we see the Thoughtseize bug in action. Here we take the ball. I'm not sure why he didn't just play that Bauble out. I don't think it's worth... sorry. So they do have a Stormwing entity, by the way. I'm not sure why he didn't just run that bobble out, but we do get to punish him for that. Here we see Soul Scar. They pass back. And let's spin the wheel with this Bloodbraid Elf. He's got cards in hand, and he's got a creature on board, so we're likely to hit something good. Or at least something. We do hit Lightning Bolt, which is sweet. Get to take out his creature and start clocking. The Unholy Heat into Stormwing Entity. Pretty scary stuff. But they are hellbent, so we know that we're going to be able to get in for a free attack with this Bloodbraid Elf without getting blown out by something silly. We get a Goyf, not bad when we're trying to race. We need our opponent's top card to be something unimpressive. I don't remember if he topped or bottomed or not. Let's show game log. He goes top bottom. So we know that one of his cards is going to be at least decent. We see Manamorphose, obviously very strong. Bauble. Alright, so we're going to see a big attack. Mutagenic Growth. Holy cow. We got whacked for 8, and we really just hope to draw the burn spell so we can finish this game off. Here I maybe should have just crack fetched. It's not going to make a difference if they draw Lava Dart. We just die, and guess what? They draw the Lava Dart. So maybe I should have... I mean, it wouldn't have made a difference. We die either way. But again, the only card that deals 1 damage to the Lava Dart anyway. So just for the sake of thinning our deck, maybe we should have crack fetched there. But anyway, moving on to... Alright guys, here we are for Game 2 of Match 3, and if you look at the sideboard, we've cut our 2 Thoughtseizes and our 2 Voidwalkers. Our thought process here is the Thoughtseize just... the 2 damage is a little bit of a liability, even though it does snipe some of the top-end stuff. Drawing it in the early games, like, just pretty bad. Probably feels bad to cast it if our opponent's on a heavy burn progression. And then the Voidwalker. The Voidwalker, there's some merit to keeping, as it can mess with their graveyard, and that could be relevant if they're playing the Delirium spells, but it can't block, which is kind of a big deal. If they are definitely the aggressor, we want to be the control deck here, and activating it to steal one of their threats is generally not going to be very good, as we can't leverage their threats the way that they can. We brought in our Klothys to mess with their graveyard a little bit, but primarily to like kind of stabilize our life total. Also, they have a lot of trouble removing it. We brought in our second Terminate to deal with cards like Murktide Regent and Stormwing Entity, which we saw. And we brought in our Collective Brutalities, as it can kill these smaller creatures and stabilize our life total, and they've got plenty of instants and sorceries to take. This hand looks very solid, especially on the play, so we will keep it. And notably, it is a little painful. We have to pay life seemingly every turn. We can't really grab a forest either because of the presence of Kroxa. We take the Monastery Spear as it has haste, and we pass back, knowing that they're going to play the Soulscar Mage. We're going to be able to bolt it. We draw Collective Brutality, which is great. We do get blown out here by a... my goodness, what's it called? Mutagenic Growth, which we did see a copy of. But I'm willing to take that risk here. At least they activate it during our turn instead of theirs, which does save us some life. Luckily, they don't have it, so we get to steal this expressive iteration, kill their guy, and we'll pass back. Oh, we know of Mountain in their hand as well. They bubble us. We're going to draw off the bubble. We're going to play tap line and pass the turn. Manamorphose, cast Stormwing Entity, and we're just going to take it out now. It's nice that we could tag it with our bolt. Now we get to slime a Kroxa and start getting to work. Kroxa on this empty board can definitely wreak some havoc, and it looks like our opponent has no way of removing it. I'm guessing they just flooded a bit. We do know that they still have a steam vents in hand. And yeah, that's game 2 for you. Moving on to game 3. Alright guys, for game 3, we've, being on the draw, trimmed one of our Wrenn and 6s and brought in another Spell Bomb. Those are all of our changes. Just want to be a little bit leaner on the draw here. Our opponent leads with Dragon's Rage Channeler. Passes back to us. Pretty scary turn 1, especially since we can't really deal with it. Inquisitioning them is also a little bit awkward because we get them a little bit closer to Delirium. We do take a threat, as we don't have any removal. And we would like to hopefully catch this thing with a Liliana, be able to tag it. And they've got Delirium turn 2. Dragon's Rage Channeler OP. But Ragavan also OP. Draws us a treasure. We're going to return Ragavan and pass back. We reveal Spire Bluff Canal, pardon. Our opponent gets the iteration. They find a Swift Spear, which is a huge bummer because our plan was to Edict with Liliana. This is definitely going to slow us down. Definitely feels like we're going to get beat up real good here. We go Lily down tick. We cannot tag the Monastery Swift Spear with our Kulgun's command, notably because we know about Immunogenic Growth in hand. So here we just go Liliana, put a Ragavan into play, pass back. We also know that they have a Lava Dart. Sorry, I removed Lava Dart by mistake. They do have a Lava Dart in hand, so they can kill off our stuff if they want to, but I kind of want our stuff to take that instead of our face. And we are very close to dead here. Living on the edge. So we're both going to discard. We discard Kroxa. Monkey gets in, and Monkey needs to do a good job here. Monkey gets Lava Darted. And we just have to Edict here and hope to top deck better. Again, just living on the edge. We're at 3 life. Our opponent's in top deck mode with their burn spell heavy deck, so all we can do is hope. Bauble draws them a Soulscar Mage. They draw another Bauble. Pretty good for them. We're going to discard, and we want to hit this Soulscar Mage now before their draw step. Oh no, sorry. We do Kroxa here. Yeah, we do have to kill the Soulscar Mage, but we do also have to win the game. So we get this Kroxa down ASAP to start applying much needed pressure. Our opponent just doesn't look like they drew what they needed. Definitely didn't draw a burn spell. So they pass back. We get to Edict with Lily. And we open ourselves up to a hasty threat and like a Lava Dart or something, but we just have to, we gotta get there. So we attack with the Kroxa, pass back. See a Swift Spear. Swift Spear is gonna get, oh, it does not attack. I believe we K-Command on the end step. And that's all she wrote. I'm not sure what our opponent had in hand, but I'm guessing they flooded a bit. Bad luck for them. They definitely got us really close, but they stumbled a bit, and we managed to get there. All right, guys, here we are for match 4, game 1. And Sand's pretty good. We've got the best card in our deck. We've got lots of removal. We're hoping, and we're against another Lurrus deck, so we know that our removal is going to line up well. They take our Ragavan, which is a little bit of a bummer, but our hand's still pretty good. See a Dragon's Rage Channeler, a Godless Shrine. So it looks like they're on like the spike list, splashing white for Prismatic Ending. That's what these lists seem to do. I believe it's the only white card they play, at least in the main board. I'm going to bauble, putting a bauble in the bin off Surveil. And then play another bauble. Bauble us in response to the lightning bolt, trying to grow the channeler, I suppose, somehow. Or just, why not bauble at that point? You see a monkey, and I do decide to push over Bolt here, as Bolt can tag Lurrus in the future. But push might not necessarily be able to do that, and we get to grist on an empty board, which feels wonderful, because all of their hasty threats are on the ground. They have Unholy Heat for grist. Pretty unfortunate. But hey, that's a pretty good turn for us. Grist does get that 2-for-1. It eats the Prismatic Ending and the Unholy Heat. But they've got a Ragavan for us. Definitely a solid catch-up card. We draw Lily, and we just have to hold up our interaction here to deal with this Ragavan dash. You gotta wait for combat to bolt, by the way, because it could just dash in another one if you go before combat. So, see a Dragon's Rage Channeler, and yeah, we terminate here. Maybe we should have down-ticked Lily, but it works out because we draw an Inquisition, which is an easy discard. Oh, we discard Bloodbraid Elf? Maybe that's incorrect with them in top deck mode, but not sure what my thought process was at the time there. Here we Edict and pass back. And they're gonna Lurrus, play bauble, cash in their treasure, crack their bauble, pass back. And we're gonna cash in the Lily and Inquisition our opponent. We miss, play land. I don't remember if I do, but I imagine I cash in this Peat land on the end step here. They draw another Ragavan. Really good in this position for sure. And they get to take our Renin 6. So now they're Junding. Opponent Junding. But we've got Kroxa, which is obviously a bit mega powerhouse. Threatens to end the game in a hurry all the time. That's just his job. Renin 6. Ain't doing much against a Kroxa. There's that Ragavan. So we draw. Player Voidwalker. They terminate our Kroxa. And we pass back. And this is a little scary, a little bit scary, because they do have a turn where they get to... maybe we should have served with Kroxa before anything else. Because now they're going to get to draw more cards off this monkey. We're going to Inquisition them. And what do we reveal? Mountain? No, not Mountain. We revealed... Oh, I see. Overgrown Tomb. Okay, come on, pick up that Bloodbraid Elf. Here I believe we attack the Ren. We just don't want him to like draw removal and then possibly leverage his Renin 6 into an ultimate. Just stay safe from that. Here's our Cascade. Cascade into Ragavan. Very excellent. And yeah, this game's just like very, very back and forth. Opponent's got removal, we've got threats, we've got removal, they've got threats, and it's a very classic mid-range matchup here. Things just trading. MH2 cards on full display. We got that second Cascade trigger into a K command is just absolutely backbreaking. And I think that in this matchup we might, unless they get like really explosive starts, I think we, at this point in the matchup, we have a pretty strong edge. We've got a lot more 2-for-1 potential. So Yeah, there you have it. There's game 1, and moving on to game 2. Alright guys, here we are for game 2, and very much treating this like a classic mid-range matchup. Maybe this is a little greedy, but we do go down to 21 lands, as we also want to trim back the Bloodbraid Elf and lean out a bit. The Raging Ravine isn't a particularly good top deck in this matchup. We do want to apply a lot of pressure, but also we want all of our cards to always do something. So these are all bad top. So here's my thought process. Sure, these are bad top decks, and this is a good top deck, which seems like a little unintuitive. But I don't want to have too much top end. Like if this was a different card, like a Seasoned Pyromancer, or maybe like a 3-mana Planeswalker, I would keep it around, but it's not. So we lean out a bit while also simultaneously getting rid of our bad top decks in Inquisition and Thoughtseize. And we just bring in our other Terminate, our Clothis, our Plague Engineers, our Collective Brutalities kill a lot of the threats, so just removal and threats, and here we go. This hand seems fine. We've got a Fatal Push. It's really holding this hand together against turn 1 threat. Luckily, they don't have turn 1 threat, which is quite good for us. Make a Wobble. Play Kroxa. What do we discard here? Plague Engineer? No, we go for the land. So here we fetch Stomping Ground. Play Blackcleave Cliffs, pass back. Grab Stomping Ground because we have Peat land, so it kind of completes the trifecta. And now I believe we discard Plague Engineer, yes. And then here we just go for this Grist. I believe. I would like Liliana to be able to down-tick into something. So we go Grist, which can protect itself from a hasty threat. Pass back. If they like go threat, so they bolt and I believe Unholy Heat. So again, Grist getting that 2-for-1 in, and again them slamming that Ragavan. So repeat of last game where Grist gets that 2-for-1 in, and then Ragavan reverses it. They hit our Spellbomb and they decide not to cast it, which is a little interesting to me. I'm not sure about that play. I'm not sure what they're holding on to, maybe like a Fatal Push, but very curious. I feel like you just want to take that card from us, take that effect from us, and then get the draw off it later. Also, we are another Kroxa deck. We play Tarmogoyf, we play Ren and 6, so the Spellbomb is quite good against us. They're going to take this turn to Prismatic Ending, our Liliana. We draw another, discard that Verdant Catacomb, toss back. Now we've got another Grindfest, both Hellbent, but this time we've got the Planeswalker, and they've got nothing. They Kroxa us. We're just going to push it, be mana efficient. And also we don't want to give up our push. We just want to keep upticking this Lily. Plague Engineer is not bad. We name Monkey. Uptick Lily. Go for that ulti. See if we can cut him off that white source and maybe do a couple Stone Rains. Get in there. We are no longer afraid of Monkey because okay, so our opponent scoops here, by the way, which I think is, I don't know. I guess Lily's coming off ultimate, but what's Lily gonna do? It's gonna double Stone Rain. We get to draw a card. Yeah, sure, we're super ahead, but I think if I was the opponent, I would have continued to play it out. Like they're gonna bring back Kroxa, and then we put Kroxa and a land or two together. They pitch that. I don't know. Anyway, we were definitely ahead though. Top deck Monkey doesn't do anything because we've got Plague Engineer. So we're definitely in a good spot, but I think our opponent could have played it out. Anyway, yeah, that is match 4, and moving on to match 5. Going for the 5-0, not the Jund 5-0, but the actual 5-0. Alright guys, here we are for match 5, game 1 against Nick Damien. And he's going to put Lurrus in the Companion Zone. And we're going to be on the draw. So Bolt, Inquisition, pretty good against a Lurrus deck. Leads on Swamp, passes. We're going to grab our Blood Crypt and Inquisition the opponent. So here we see Pretty interesting hand. Looks like mono black. We see Urborg, Castle Lockwayne. We also see Waste Not, Dothi, Voidwalker, Dark Confidant, Bloodchief's Thirst. So pretty well-rounded, strong hand. We decide to take the Waste Not here because between Inquisition and Bolt, we can deal with both of his creatures next turn. We can Bolt whichever one he decides to play and Inquisition the other. So we see a Dark Confidant come down. And we're going to do exactly that. We draw Ragavan for turn, which is fantastic. So we Inquisition. And, sorry, so went through that a little fast. He does draw Fatal Push for turn. I want to take that so I can get this Ragavan going. And if he plays... So if he plays Voidwalker, we get to down-tick our Lily. And then we can Ragavan without fear of that Fatal Push later, as the Bloodchief's Thirst is sorcery speed. If he wants to go like land, if he drew land and wants to Bloodchief's Thirst our Liliana, that's a very favorable exchange. He's going to tap out and the Lily gets her 2-for-1 in, which is very solid. But instead he puts Lurrus in the hand, passes back. We draw another Ragavan. We're fine to discard one here. We know we're going to get to connect this turn. So we're going to slam Ragavan here over the Bloodbraid Elf. Reason being, without a threat in play, the Bloodbraid Elf has a chance of missing, hitting like a Terminator or Fatal Push, and not giving us value. Whereas Ragavan, we know, is going to give us a little bit of value right now. And by a little bit of value, I mean a lot of value, because we hit a Dothi Voidwalker. And we're going to cast that RN. And Dash being super good here in this window against this sorcery speed removal, protecting our Ragavan. So this is a pretty questionable move from our opponent. He elects not to Bloodchief's Thirst the Dothi. And he ends up not having response to this Dothi at all. He doesn't have the Fatal Push. We pulse the Lurrus, and then we just get to steal his Lurrus, which is sweet. This card's obviously very powerful. Whoops. Oops, I hit the wrong button, and we skipped through our opponent's turn. So, sorry about that. We took the Lurrus, recast the Ragavan, which is obviously great. Yeah, that's all good. Good stuff. Now we have a Ragavan. He has to push his Lurrus, and he passes back, or our Lurrus rather. We're going to discard this Lily and decide to just slam this Bloodbraid Elf. Try to just get this game ended. We hit K command, which is awesome. We're going to pick up a Ragavan just to get some value. And you know what? This is a first time for me, actually. Total scrub move here. I forgot that. My goodness. We did it again. I apologize. Okay, well, you're seeing it all play out here. This is the game, guys. We kind of go back and forth. I apologize. I don't know what happened there. I clicked here, and that was a lot of turns that skipped through. But surprisingly enough, not a lot happened. I could just explain this. We just kind of went back and forth attacking with the Bloodbraid Elf and the Mishra's Factory, fighting over this Liliana, desperately trying to get it off board. And when I attacked with that Ragavan, again, so I don't play a lot of Legacy. This card's kind of new for me, and I didn't realize that it could activate itself, making it a 3/3. Which is pretty cool. I've heard people talk about that, but it's the first time it's happened to me in the field. Anyway, I'm not going to redo that because there's really not much to explain here. He just kind of is going after this Liliana pretty desperately. He's going to make us discard. That's all of our monkeys. No more monkeys. We're going to uptick Lily. I believe we do serve with this Bloodbraid Elf. We're cool to trade for the factory if that's what he wants to do. He does. We're just going to keep up tickling our Lily. I think this game goes on for a while, too. Yeah, he activates the castle, draws a card, which is lining up really well against the Lily. And then he's going to make us discard our Lightning Bolt with this. So this reads, if you haven't seen it before, 2 tap, each player discards a card, or draws a card, then discards a card, which is really good for him in this position because he's up that card. So he's just kind of digging for a threat here. We hit a land. He finds a Cling to Dust, which is really good for him. We're going to kind of go through this a little faster. He finds our Confidant, forcing... We couldn't find a removal off our Nurturing Peak line, so it forces us into an Edict. We pass back. Draws a land. Find Mishra's Factory to be precise. He's going to activate his castle. No, he clings to dust to gain life, which makes a lot of sense. Factory is going to get that Liliana. We draw Fatal Push, pretty good. We can deal with the Factory. This Factory's having a lot of trouble getting our girl off the board. He's going to attack with the Factory, activating to try to kill the Lily, but we've got the push. Ren and 6, excellent top deck. So here we go for pick up Peatland. He's got Cling. He's going to Cling it. But we've just got to force this action, right? Our Ren's still upticking. It's a... It is what it is. He bobbles. We draw the Bolt. We have to kill the Lily. We're just going to use the Bolt now. And I guess we should have pinged him, but he's also got Cling to Dust. I mean, it kind of would have forced him into a position where he would have to cling. He'd be committed to clinging a creature that turn. So maybe it was the correct move to down tick the Ren. Text our Lily. There's a Dothy. This game goes on for a while. So I apologize. We're just kind of drawing dead. Hoping to find something. He's going to attack our walkers, taking our Lily off the board. We ping him, draw another Ren and 6. Or sorry, we ping the Dothy 2 times, pass back. Leaving our Ren open to another Factory. Retraces, taking our Thoughtseize. And we find Kroxa, which is going to end the game. This is what we've been looking for all game. Should have mentioned that a little while ago, but Kroxa is going to say, "Answer me right now, sir." Even if he kills the Kroxa, we get to escape it, so very good for us. And yeah, that is that. Super long game. And all right, here we are for, here we are for Game 2, Match 5, and we've cut our 2 Thoughtseizes, which has been the common theme against all the Lurrus decks. Maybe we should consider one less Thoughtseize in the main, huh? No, that's crazy talk. We need them against the combo decks, and our Terminate for Clothis, which is just a very strong top deck against these decks that don't really have, these mono black decks can't really deal with it. Being in Indestructible Enchantment, we've cut our Terminate. Our 2 Thoughtseizes brought in the Clothis and our Nail Spell Bombs. And our hand's pretty sweet, so we will keep. It goes Swamp, Bauble, Nail Spell Bomb. And we're actually going to lead on our Inquisition because the Ragavan is so likely to die here. We see Feed the Swarm, Dothy, and Fatal Push. We do take the Dothy because of our Planeswalker hand here. And they just draw another one. So here we dash in the Ragavan, as opposed to exposing our Renin 6 to, and this is pretty sweet, we draw a Funeral Charm. So we can choose between casting their Funeral Charm or casting our Null Spellbound, and we do decide to cast their Funeral Charm, making them discard a card. Just get that value in, get their Feed the Swarm, pass back, and if they don't draw another creature, we can just Edict with Liliana next turn. They're going to Raven's Crime Mouse, no big deal. We discard the Forest. And here, I believe they play... Do they play Urborg? Yes, they play Urborg, which is solid, because that lets us slam this Lily, Edict this Dothy, and really take a commanding position on this board. They're gonna cycle the Spellbound now, looking for some action. I forgot what this card does. Shizo, Death's Storehouse. Target legendary gains Fear. Which is pretty sweet. He puts Lurrus in a hand. Inquisition. Snag that Lurrus. Snap. Take that Lurrus. Nice clean answer to Lurrus. Uptick our Lily. See what they discard. Likely the Swamp. That is correct. And here we just play a Renin 6, be patient, try to get that Inquisition out of hand, but our opponent has decided enough is enough. They're not going to deal with a Liliana and a Renin 6 with only a Fatal Push, and boom, we get the 5-0. Feels good. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Let me know what you think of the replays, and sorry about that game 1 was just ridiculously long, but if you sat through it, that's awesome. If you fast forwarded through it, I don't blame you. Anyway, yeah, if you guys enjoy this content, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out and helps the channel grow. And until next time, peace.